see that a large majority of you have never used any of these tools before. There's about 18% of you that are using both candidate pipelines and talent communities right now. And then there's fairly equal, about 25% to each of them. They're using either candidate pipelines or just talent communities. So we'll continue on here with the next part of the webinar. Okay.
So that's great. Thank you for completing that. This activity and this strategy is absolutely a component of any well-built recruitment program or talent acquisition program. So some of you may have jobs that are consistently posted on your website. You're consistently processing those candidates. You're consistently advertising. We're gonna I'm gonna get to the meat of this as far as the tactical delivery of something like this towards the end of the presentation. But from our perspective, this is absolutely critical to time to hire. We know that in this current market, unless you get ahead of the game with employment branding and awareness and driving candidates in, your time to hire is going to be very difficult, and you will make sacrifices on the quality of candidate that you ultimately hire. So how to set them up? First, you got to decide essentially what's the purpose on what you're trying to do here. Is the purpose to just let people know about opportunities, or is your purpose to really go and maybe grab competitor talent? Is the purpose to, again, I mean, there's a variety of different things depending on what your overall objectives are. You can design this to do very specific things. I've even seen aggressive tactics, like people will go build a pipeline of a specific type of candidate just to attract a competitor's talent. So there's unique purposes there around, and it's almost each department within your organization needs a slightly tweaked program of what they're looking for. So first deciding on, okay, what are the objectives here, and what are you trying to do? If you're trying to lower time to hire, then that's a great purpose for trying to do this. If you're trying to increase the total qualified candidate flow for your open roles, that's another great purpose. So keep in mind from this webinar, if you go and develop this or refine yours, to really get clear on what your objectives are aligned with kind of your internal goals. The next step is then how are you going to find these people and how are you going to communicate to them? If you were on some of our previous webinars, we've talked a lot about essentially how to source candidates using some of the Web 2.0 technologies, and we're not going to go into that in depth today by any means, but deciding on your marketing strategy is critical. And that brings me to my next slide here, that this is a marketing program. It's very similar to, again, to put the analogy in a sales and marketing perspective, a sales strategy is not to go send an email campaign, right? So if you go send an email campaign, that's not necessarily a sales activity, that's a marketing activity. And similar to this is what you need to put your mindset in is this is a marketing and brand awareness activity, and it's really critical to have that approach, because if you take it as a recruiting, it's a subset of recruiting. I would call it sourcing or recruitment advertising, or essentially marketing is the way you need to approach this. So you need a marketing plan, you need a communications plan. This doesn't have to be terribly elaborate. It can be very, very simple as far as, we're going to send our entire database of talent of past applicants a monthly email. We're going to send out a monthly email to all of our current employees on current open jobs. And if you're savvy enough, you can integrate some of the technology as far as share this on Facebook and so forth. But critical of this is approach this like marketing, and I'd also encourage you from this call to have a chat with marketing and look at some of the tools that they use. How are they going out and driving leads? What's some of the resources that they have? And I'd absolutely steal those and use them for this type of an approach. So how to set this up? There's a couple different ways that you can use, a couple different ideas around marketing on this. And in particular, you're going to have subsections or segments within your talent community. So again, just to step back. So your talent community is everyone as a whole, and your talent networks and pipelines are based on specific skill sets. So some ideas around this is you may have a monthly newsletter that your account management team is already sending out to current clients or current customers. You may want to develop something around, here's some tips on how to advance your career, or resume writing, or how to do well in an interview. This is great information, and we've seen companies do this through employment blogs. The problem with those is they just don't get the type of readership that you want to build. So by marketing directly to them with this, you're going to see a higher readership rate. Press releases. Marketing is already doing press and news. This is another great thing that you can send out to your talent community to touch back with them. Interesting news articles around your industry. If you get mentioned in a news article, another great opportunity. Details on the employee referral program. So we're really talking about an internal message here, but does every single one of your employees across your company really clearly understand your employee referral program? And if not, it's a great opportunity to remind them on a monthly basis as well. Versus, an open role, holy smokes, we got to get this thing filled, let's send out a referral blast. New product announcements. If you're a software firm, this is a great opportunity to let, and if you're working on unique technology, this is a great opportunity to let potentially your IT talent network, your product management network, or your product development network that you build on, hey, here's some cool new stuff that we're doing with our products. That's the kind of stuff that specifically talks to the segments within these talent communities, because a product manager is going to want to know very different things than a sales rep, and they're going to be attracted by different things. Weekly webinar on what makes your company great. This is a really, really simple thing. So just to let everybody know, we use a webinar service here for this presentation called GoToMeeting.com. This could be a great opportunity to have more or less a weekly discussion or a weekly webinar on, hey, here's the great reasons to work for this company. And very similar to what we're doing here on this, people are going to post questions and you've got the opportunity to reply to them. This is a fairly cutting-edge approach to advertising from an employment branding perspective. One, because I necessarily haven't seen it done by many firms. This is something that we're incorporating in a newer tactic that we're incorporating very shortly. But essentially a great way to go, every Thursday at 11, sign up for this webinar if you're interested to hear about the benefits programs, the opportunities within our growth plans, and so forth. Phenomenal opportunity to build your employment brand with these people. And finally, reviews and quotes. So you may have an employee spotlight that you send out. Here's a quick spotlight of this person and what it's like for them to work here and why they work here. Another good opportunity from a communications perspective. So now with some ideas to basically start deploying some of this stuff. So what I was trying to hope to do in that last slide was to give you some ideas on what we talked about as far as candidate relationship management and some marketing collateral that you can use to go engage these people on a consistent basis. So number one, there's a couple different tools. You may or may not have an applicant tracking system. If you do, the high majority of the applicant tracking systems allow you to create multiple talent portals, or we're just going to call them multiple career sites for this matter. We've seen this done by the Fortune 500, is they will have a separate career site for university students who are looking at recent grad opportunities. You've even seen Microsoft go to the extent of creating mini career sites for very specific small teams within their organization. Now, looking at the webinar today, there's very few kind of companies that have got more than 1,000 employees on this call. So you're probably saying, well, yeah, we can't go build a website if we got to hire 3 developers. But what you can do is you can probably build or look at building a website and a specific portal around your call center. You got to hire multiple people around that, and there's a different pitch to those people than there is to a manager for a team lead, for example, in marketing. So one of the great tools that we've seen, if you've got very specific segments, market to these segments accordingly, and a great way to do that is through multiple career sites. These career sites do not have to be 15 pages long. They've got to have language that speak to that group. And the great thing is when you go market activities, let's use an example. So say you're a Vancouver-based company and you do a ton of engineering recruiting out of UBC and out of BCIT and SFU. If that's the case and you need to hire 10, 15 people a year out of there, this is a great platform to go add more value and increase your employment brand with these people. I'll tell you right now, this approach, engineering students, if I'm a fourth-year engineering student, and I've got an opportunity to share my information with a potential client, absolutely, you're going to get that information. And what a great way to build relationships over time, especially if you get 150, 200 student-to-graduate individuals signing up for this talent network. You've got that data for a couple years, right? If they do work for you or they don't, what a great way to attract these people early on in their careers. So we've seen many organizations create mini career sites for college students. We've seen some of the larger companies create websites for really special focused teams. But the point I want to get across here is when you've got very different segments, a very real strategy, and again, if you have applicant tracking technology, a lot of this can be pulled off very easily with your internal IT people and a bit of vision from marketing and your direction on the strategy. So integrate these opportunities. So more or less you could, so example here, right? So you want to integrate these jobs into your corporate careers site, right? So your main site, and we're not going to get into kind of career websites heavily here, but integrate your job opportunities and links off of your main site. Industry websites, and also forums. If you look at some of the user groups and blogs, and even talking in the past around tools such as Ning, for those of you who are unfamiliar with Ning, Ning is a free service that allows people to create their own social networks around specific topics, and all of these guys will accept advertising and accept your checks to sponsor that user group. So that's an interesting way to kind of directly target and advertise to specific groups on the long term. We've also seen this deployed through Facebook. So you'll find many companies who will create maybe a Facebook page or specifically a department page on Facebook and create that link off of Facebook directly to that career site. So what a phenomenal way to go and engage engineering students who are soon to graduate out of SFU, UBC, and BCIT. If you're on campus, certainly capture their information and invite them to the Facebook group, because I can almost guarantee you 99 out of 100 times they're going to have a Facebook profile right now. And a great way to get them engaged there, but then also creating that link to that potential specific site. An email blast as well. If you're going to send out emails, do not send out something that says, please email your resumes to hr@company.com. What you need to do is you need to direct them through and make this very simple and make it easy for them to submit their information. So this is where when you send out email campaigns or viral activities, whether it's for an open job or for a network, make sure you've got the hyperlinks built in so that it makes it and it draws it all back to that one cornerstone, whether it be your career site, a unique career site, or a specific job posting. So then just on here, the look and feel. Our last webinar we talked about Gen Y and Gen X, right? So if you go create and if you spend the time to create a simple little career site for Gen X and Gen Y, if you make it look stuffy, don't bother. Essentially create a look and feel that's going to speak to that group. We've got one client who, the head of product management, he's got a really great blog, and this is something that we leverage a lot to go attract talent around helping, this individual's already blogging on some really unique topics, a great way to reinforce kind of the expertise that company has. And also potential candidates, they say, what a great opportunity, I can learn a lot from this individual by leveraging some of the things that are already going on. The misnomer about this, and one of the things you need to think about, is these people I think we have to operate under the assumption that they don't have a resume sitting right there ready to upload. So what you need to do is you need to make it very, very easy to capture minimal information. So you think through what you need to get. You need to get their first name, their last name, their email address, phone number, maybe current company and title, maybe where they went to school, but basically making it really easy for them to fill out their information. Again, this is a lead list that hasn't been qualified yet when you consider attracting them. So make it easy for them. If they've got to sit there for 5 minutes to fill out their information, you're going to lose them from drop-off. Keep them interested. So develop, as we talked about, what is your monthly communication plan, and it can be very, very simple. It can be one email drop a month with a listing of your open roles and